Brokers Alliance and the National Insurance Clearinghouse present the Business Insurance Zone, a Bravo video event. Broadcasting in HD 1080p on Vimeo, YouTube, the Insurance Newsnet, Agent Navigator, BrokersAlliance.com, and on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and the Insurance Forum. And now your host, the whiz of the biz, Steve Savant. Well, welcome everyone to the Business Insurance Zone, the talk show that spotlights insurance in your practice, keeps you up to speed on insurance news and products, features insurance strategies from top advisors. Get in the zone, the Business Insurance Zone.
Well, our email address is thebiz@brokersalliance.com, and you can call us at 1-800-290-7226, extension 147 for all your quotes and questions, whether it's life, DI, LTC, annuities, or even pension group plans. We quote it all. Just go ahead and call us. And remember, I'm not a tax advisor or a legal advisor, so before moving forward with any of the strategies you hear on our show, don't forget to talk to your CPA or attorney, and if you're with a broker-dealer, of course, your compliance officer. Well, we've been interviewing several shows with Marcy Pruitt, head of our division in disability. Welcome back to our show.
Thank you.
And Marcy's been on our show. This is, I think, our fifth time on our show. Plus, she's also been on our vignettes, our educational vignettes, which we have on Agent Navigator, the Insurance Forum, some of our other channels. And what I really like about in a show format like this is we can talk about the things that we know that our agents want to talk about. And I love the whole idea of paycheck protection for individual, for corporate. But today we're going to kind of do something that, honestly, I forgot about. You know, this business overhead, this disability, I know I pay myself. Now I'm covering overhead, my actual expenses for a business.
That's right. That is a risk.
I mean, that sounds so weird, though.
Why is that?
Well, because no, wait a minute. I ask the questions on this show. No. But the reason it is because when I think of insurance, I think it has to be a person. But when we talk about business overhead, we're talking about the actual expense loads of a business, and we could cover that in case of a disability.
That's right. Well, if a business owner were to become disabled and the doors close, obviously that could shut the business down, similar to insuring the risk for fire and theft and, the building itself and the contents, but you're insuring the business owner's ability to provide and increase revenue for the firm.
So when I think of expense loads, does that mean just the utility bills, the rent, and so forth, not covering other employees? What does it cover?
It essentially covers all fixed operating expenses of the business, and it would cover the staff employee salaries, not the business owner, or typically anyone performing the same duties as the business owner.
Now, if they wanted, they could get their own personal DI to cover that.
That's
issue.
right.
Okay, so excluding the business owner, right?
Correct.
All right, excluding him, we could be covering all fixed costs, and some of those fixed costs, are you including the actual salaries of the employees?
Yes, salaries of the employees.
The FICA match that the business has an obligation to?
Yes, full payroll.
Including what about what if they're doing? What if our business supports the medical insurance?
Absolutely, the health insurance, dental, the life insurance.
All benefits, really, except for the owner.
Well, the owner, the malpractice insurance, the property and casualty premiums, but just not the personal health insurance or life insurance or a pension plan, possibly. Sure. That type of thing for the owner only would not be covered.
Well, when I think about that sounds great. What kind of, is it expensive? It's not going by age now, right?
It does go by age.
Oh,
it's
it
your
does.
Occupation and your age are the two drivers of the premium.
For business overhead?
Yes.
See, that sounds, to me, that's hard to grasp because I keep thinking, well, one's an expense, and why would that be tied to my age?
Well, it's a reimbursable contract, unlike an indemnity with an individual policy. It is a reimbursable contract for your share as a business owner of the operating expenses. To develop the premium, it is still based on your duties and your age, and also whether you're male or female.
Okay, so if I want to cover all my fixed expenses, as you suggested, and it's by age, could I do it with a younger owner to keep it cheaper, or no?
For the younger owner's share of the business. So if it's a situation where there's two owners 50-50 and the expenses ran $10,000 a month, each owner could insure for $5,000.
Now, when you look at this, let's just take a typical, I'm thinking of the boilerplate. I'm so used to quoting mortality products.
Right.
But let's say you've had a 45 or so. What's the ratio for every, $1,000 of fixed expenses I want to cover? What do I have to kind of put out? I know that's kind of without an actual table.
It's
but
hard.
Is it 5 to 1? Is it
Well,
7-to-1?
it's less expensive than individual disability than paycheck protection because that is designed to cover you to age 67 or even lifetime. Business overhead will typically insure for 12 months, 18 months, or up to 24 months.
So the top is 24.
Right.
And what are the kind of elimination periods? Is there elimination periods for this kind
They're
of
much
insurance?
shorter than individual, so it's usually a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day elimination period.
And when you see that sold, is business overhead pretty hot as an item to sell?
I think it's a great door opener because, again, most people think, well, a disability won't happen to me, or if it does, the business will take care of me. The business will provide a revenue, and I'll continue to earn a paycheck. Well, how long can that revenue continue if the business owner is disabled and unable to drive the business?
So let's just say the typical sale, if I had this, is a typical one about a year, or no, they go out to the full 24 months from a duration point of view?
I really see a shorter benefit because, again, it's designed not to sustain the business forever. It's designed to allow the business owner to get back on their feet and come back to work, or have a viable business to sell. So if you do recover or sell the business prior to 24 months, for example, then the policy would end. So typically a year, maybe 18 months is a duration that is a realistic reimbursable period. But, again, before they're able to come back to the business. I mean, how many business owners for 2 years would sit out there and, not come back to the business or have not sold it by that point?
They'd be losing market share, so
Right.
they want to re-enter as soon as possible. When I look at this kind of insurance, which is really a strange adjunct to everything we've talked about in previous shows, because it's dealing in expenses, and you just named quite a list. Do you have an already prepared list?
We do.
For our producers.
We have a worksheet that we can hand out, and again, you keep in mind it's reimbursable, so you really don't want to overinsure. But rent, utilities, again, the cost of the staffing, supplies, even depreciation, student
And
loans.
that's all on this list.
They're correct.
So if you want this list, just go ahead and contact Marcy. You can either write her, Marcy at brokersalliance.com. That's MARCY. And if you want to call her direct, as I always do, on the telephone, 1-800-290-7226, her extension 126. And don't forget, you can always jump out to our website, www.brokersalliance.com. So we can get this list. We have a pretty good idea. We can walk in. How do I open up the discussion? Because this is really a good can opener, a first contact interview, so to speak.
Right.
So how do I open up with this?
Well, I mean, there are, the simple ways. Business owners, when's the last time you took a vacation? If you were forced to take a vacation tomorrow, how long could the business run itself? And again, most business owners think the business can support itself, yet when's the last time they took a 6-month or a year vacation? So to really have this in place, which funds all of the operating expenses, including all the other policies that have already been sold. So it really can protect you so the business owner doesn't lapse everything else you've sold, yet providing an income,
So
to maintain
really,
the business.
it does everything except the owner's personal disability and benefits.
Correct.
So everything else is on the table.
Yes, there is. And again, anybody performing, let's say you had 2 doctors, the other physician's salary would not be covered either. But you can, either it's built in or some carriers have a rider where it provides a substitute salary expense benefit, so you can bring someone in, especially for a sole proprietor, bring someone in to see patients, clients, and whether it's a dentist, again, medical office, because your staff can't typically do that. So it allows someone to come in and continue to bring
And the contract
revenue
pays for that.
Right.
What carriers do you see are players in this business overhead DI?
In the traditional marketplace, your Principal, Standard, MetLife, Union Central,
MetLife,
Guardian.
wow. Guardian, of course, Union Central, yeah. And when you look at these carriers, does anyone stand out? If the corporation is, or the business is more blue collar in its idea? Is one more blue collar than white collar?
Standard does a better job with blue collar
With blue
of the
collar.
ones I just listed. And some of the real blue collar carriers don't have a business overhead expense product. They're not, because again, not in the professional marketplace.
So Standard of Oregon, right? Isn't it?
Correct.
So they really have a niche in the blue collar area because not that many play in business overhead.
Right.
Okay. And when you look at these other ones in this regard, is there any one contract that stands out to you and say, boy, that one seems to give a little more bang for the buck. It's a little more economically viable as a contract. Or are they pretty much all priced close?
It's really cookie cutter. Some have this substitute salary built in, others have a partial built in. You need to pay extra for the residual, which I'm not a big fan of residual on a business overhead.
And is that you don't see that as a bang for the buck kind of item?
No. The residual?
Yeah.
No, because it's a different formula than on your individual policy, especially if you have someone seeing patients, because it's a factor of what's your revenue and what's your expenses. If you have somebody in the business seeing your patients, they're still bringing the revenue in, so you're not really going to have a lost, revenue, which is again the point of bringing someone in to see your patients or clients.
When I'm thinking of this, I'm buying it. You have to have the disability insurance on first, right? Before you can go to overhead? Or
No, they're
you can get
completely standalone.
Okay, so I could be buying DI personally from one carrier and buying the overhead because it's got a better policy provision or whatever on another carrier.
Absolutely.
And have you seen that kind of a mix and match?
Oh, certainly. And even when we're quoting, because we'll quote, as you know, multiple carriers with each product line, and some are just priced better for either the female market or certain occupations, certain ages. So quite often, because they're completely standalone products. There are discounts available when you purchase, when there's 3 or more lives, but it won't count for 3 or more products. Like you wouldn't get a discount if, a multi-life discount is different than a product line discount. Again, sometimes it's advantageous to use the same carrier because they would get a multi-product discount.
And so there's a lot of ways to look at this. What's the top cap on this? Is it 10 grand?
50,000 in the traditional market.
Yeah, a month.
A month.
50,000 a month. That's huge. I mean,
That is.
when I think of 50 grand a month to cover it, that's serious money. I mean, that's 600 grand. Coming up in our next segment, we're going to talk about prospecting, marketing, how to really pitch DI. It's not really disability. It's not DI. It's paycheck protection. That's what we're talking about. Listen, you can jump on our site at www.brokersalliance.com or write us at thebiz at brokersalliance.com. You're listening to the Business Insurance Zone, the talk show that focuses on business in your practice. We'll be right back after the break.
Steve Savant here. For years, I've heard that less than 2% of all term life insurance ends in a claim. That's not many, and clients had to die to receive the benefits. That's the old term insurance. Now start selling the new term insurance. The term insurance that covers your client through a chronic illness, a catastrophic event, or a terminal diagnosis, and pays their monthly premium during extended periods of unemployment. What term life insurance can do all that? Western Reserve Alliance Advantage Term with living benefits. No other term insurance product bundles so many solutions to life's unexpected problems. And all in one policy. So for more information, call Brokers Alliance 1-800-290-7226. Stop selling the old term. Start selling the new.
Well, welcome back to the Business Insurance Zone, the talk show that focuses on insurance in your practice. I'm Steve Savant, your host, financial color commentator, and interviewer extraordinaire. I'm with Marcy Pruitt, head of our disability division, and I gotta say, I'm always looking at different anomalies, different specific distinctive things I can add to my practice to cut me out of the pack. And disability, I think it is I've said this on other shows with you, I think it's the forgotten insurance. And here's the one, it should not even be, not only should it not be forgotten, it should be the most promoted because it's paycheck protection.
That's right.
So when I talk about paycheck protection, I want to, when I think about my database, I have all these clients. And I think we've forgotten not only about paycheck protection, I think we don't even know how to cross-sell against our own block of business. And so when I look at disability, we talked about overhead in the last segment, which I think, again, is just, there's a whole anomalous thing. I think you should lead with that. because people get that.
Right.
I got to pay expenses, the light bill, the utilities, rent, my
Exactly.
employee salary, FICA, benefits, all that has to be paid.
That's right.
So, and you said up to $50,000 a month, which to me sounds extreme. That's high. So when I look at numbers like that, I'm saying, how can I cross-sell against my existing database and say, well, I had my client, these clients that bought pension products from me. This client bought life insurance products from me. This client bought long-term care from me.
Right.
Now I want to go back in, and the art of sale, I've noticed that the famous Brian Tracy, the great guru of
Right.
sales and marketing, says that once you've sold your client a couple times, 2 or 3 times, if you come with a value proposition that has economic sense, has viability, then you should be able to close. So our first aspect of marketing DI is we want to look at your own database. We want to be able to cross-sell off that. And we actually have some technology, first contact and referral technology. If you want to call me on that, 1-800-290-7226, extension 127. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. It's really cool technology. We're going to be rolling this out all over the summer in 2011. But when I'm looking at this, Marcy, I want to be able to do DI. And somebody right now says, you've sold me. I've watched a couple of your other shows. I've seen your vignettes on your educational side of this, Marcy. What carrier carries the best, would you say, brochures or advertisement pieces or handouts to a client that I can partner if I want to start cross-selling off my database?
Well, Steve, as you mentioned, we have the program here that would be generic with letters that can be blasted out to your existing database, and regardless of business owners, doctors, generic letters with a call to action link, which then allows us to send them information.
How
on
many
the product.
letters do you have in your inventory? Would you say?
There's about a half a dozen. There's 10 letters currently, and
10
you can
letters.
customize your own if you would like to tweak it for cross-selling, like as you mentioned, pension or health insurance or something of that nature.
If they wanted to order that, they can do that?
Absolutely.
Again, if you want to order these 10 ready-to-go letters, you can just kind of do your own little customization. I'm sure it's a Word doc that's easily editable, right? You can edit it.
Well, yes, we can help them with that.
Well, then just write Marcy at brokersalliance.com, or just call her 1-800-290-7226, extension 126, and you'll send that to them.
Yes.
With joy, we'll send it to them. Oh, yes. So what other, besides these letters, which I think is great, because so many people are always, they're sitting there, I'm not a writer. I don't know how to do it. Okay, so we have that. We have our database. Is there any one carrier or a couple carriers you say, boy, they have some nice brochures. They have some nice client first contact
Right.
pieces.
There's the qualified sick pay plan concept, group cross-selling your group LTD clients. There's always a shortfall with the highly compensated to income replacement. So depending on your market, again, cross-selling life annuities, property and casualty. Most of our carriers, we have a library of pieces. Principal does a great job with their pieces. Standard, many of them have come out with the combo sale, the LTD and individual combination sale. So really depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, how could I get a good view of that? Would you, if somebody calls today or writes you as examples of these ad pieces? Now we're talking beyond the letters now.
Right.
Can you give them a little potpourri examples when you respond in email?
Sure, we have sample prospecting letters, again, in addition to that computer-assisted marketing program we discussed, but send you to the various carrier websites or just push those materials out to them in the markets they're
Yeah,
in.
in fact, actually, if you think it's easy to do, I think you should just get a couple, 2 or 3 that you think are popular, that have worked in the past, proven documents, proven brochures, proven advertisement, and then we can just order that, and they can just order from you, right?
Sure.
Okay, Marcy at brokersalliance.com or 1-800-290-7226, extension 126 for Marcy, and she'll send you the examples of that and get you up and on your way. When I see, I have my database, I have our own system now. We have this new first contact system we're going to be rolling out all summer. I want to know, when you think about marketing disability in the big picture, because we have everything from, in the last segment, we talked about overhead. The other segments, we talked about corporate, business, group, selling against group, selling with group, looking at individuals, depending upon what corporation or entity. We've talked about, we got underwriting issues we got to cover, right?
Right.
When I look at that, Marcy, I'm trying to think of, I just want to make my practice distinctive. I think DI might be the way to go. I think the new catchphrase, Paycheck Protection's the mantra of the hour. How can I start up and start playing day one? Is there any fast, I know we need to read a few things, but is there anything I can fast track to get into DI?
Well, again, in addition to the marketing pieces, cross-selling within your own book of business is absolutely the best way. As you mentioned, and statistics show, the closing rate is much greater. Plus, it costs 6 times less to sell to your existing clients than to go out and court and close new clients. So a way to get into the marketplace through associations, that's a real hot button today. Most professionals have some type of society or bar association, medical society association, dental, architect, engineer. There's so many associations that enable you to market through them, through their trade shows, through their advertising, through their website, and get you in front of the professionals in a segment that you may be looking to enter.
I think I'm thinking about 10% of our agent block that comes through Brokers Alliance is the kind of agents that do what I call the shotgun approach, where they want to enter a new market like this and they assault the market like kind of like a beach invasion, right? They're not worried about getting in front of people. They're willing to do that. You have supporting documents, letters, brochures, and ads. But now they catch the tiger by the tail and the client wants to talk to them about it. They get in there and they go, I know nothing. So how do you support them? Do you jump on the phone and will you do teleconferences with the agent right there with the potential client?
We do, depending on the location. We can certainly do point of sale with the agents or financial advisors. We can do teleconferences and just provide that technical support on the phone with them, as well as the materials that we send out to not only help with the analyzer, for example. When you request a quote, we'll go out to multiple carriers, send that quote to you with this one-page document that lists 16 different features of the contract. So at a glance, it really helps the agent look like they've shopped the market, done their homework.
This quote is actually multiple carriers, side by side by provision?
Correct.
Wow. How many can you get in a quote?
We typically 3 to 4 would go on the analyzer, and again, the agent, it is a great piece to use at point of sale. They can literally line by line go through, so they're not caught up or stumble over provisions.
When I see that as a regular agent who maybe is not as familiar with DI, with disability, is the explanation of the provisions on this spreadsheet, is that pretty easy?
Absolutely. It's on the back side of it. So it's a very easy Excel format, and then the flip side has the definitions. Yeah, as you know, we have so many acronyms in this business, ONOC, COLA, non-can.
Oh, my goodness.
So it really does a good job laying out the definition of those different features, and then side by side with the multiple carriers.
Now, if anybody wanted an example of this, I'm sure you have examples of all
Call in
this.
for a quote, and we'll send that out with the quote.
Yeah, let's not just do a sample request here. Actually have a case for Marcy to quote, and then she'll do this quote, and you can write her for these quotes, right?
And quote yourself. The best way, you can't sell it unless you own it.
Well, let's talk about that, because there's nothing greater in closing DI than pulling your own personal policy out. Is that not so?
Absolutely. Or even making the recommendation when the client says, what would you do? Do you own this? Do you have one of these? You want to be able to look them in the eye and say you do.
You do. Or you're sitting there with a sample DI that you've doctored on a Word document. I'm not giving suggestions. I've only heard that happens. Okay. So when I'm looking at having my own DI policy, I put that in front of them. They now see the value of it. I must see value of it. I have it myself.
Right.
When I'm prospecting for brand new ones, and we've been talking about database marketing for here, our existing cross-selling, but now I kind of want to launch out, and I've been looking for ways to get to new clients. I've thought, well, maybe I'm a security person, I'm FINRA licensed, maybe I've looked at that way of introducing myself, or maybe life insurance or whatever. But disability is so specific, and really, paycheck protection, I just love that phrase. I'm wondering, for brand new clients, people I ever met, do we have any kind of material that for brand new people, we don't even know these people, they don't even know we're in the business, but I want to use that as my distinctive beachhead marketing tactic. Do we have anything for that?
We do, actually, and we do webinars that we can we promote to help educate, and we're very big on the education aspect of it, so agents are comfortable to go out and talk about this product line. There's crash courses, and there's how to close it, how to break it down in its simplest form to overcome objections and walk you through the underwriting process. So we have a number of webinars and topics to help them market, prospecting, marketing, and of course closing the sale.
And they're in the library right now, just standalone, ready to go,
Right,
So you
right.
can watch it at your leisure.
Yes.
You don't have to. There's not a specific time that they're launched.
Right. Well, they are launched. We send the invitations out. So
So you have
but
schedules.
otherwise they're videotaped on the website.
So I can go out and watch it.
Right.
When I look at these different, does any of them specifically speak to the area of prospecting for a brand new client using disability as my bait?
Really, the qualified sick pay plan approach is.
Talk about that.
Okay, that is the QSPP, and it's a precedented landmark case where a business owner would want to purchase a disability policy to provide wage continuation in the event of a disability. And by not having that document, it would be considered an ad hoc payment with tax consequences if you continue to pay yourself or key folks a salary upon a disability.
And this is a hot idea.
Absolutely.
Again, just write Marcy on that. She'll give it to you, marcy@brokersalliance.com, or you can call her at 1-800-290-7226, her extension 126. Or if you want to talk to me, my extension's 127. I don't know why you'd want to talk to me. Or you can write me at thebiz@brokersalliance.com, or visit our website at www.brokersalliance.com. I'm Steve Savant. You're listening to the Business Insurance Zone. That's the buzz on the biz for today. Get into the zone, the Business Insurance Zone.
This has been a Bravo video event of the National Insurance Clearinghouse and Brokers Alliance, one of the largest distributors of insurance products and services to a nationwide network of insurance professionals. You can contact Brokers Alliance at brokersalliance.com or 1-800-290-7226, extension 147.